Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to another segment of SALISBURY 500. As you can see behind me, I'm on the campus. Well, I'm virtually on the campus of Assumption College, thus the name SALISBURY 500. You know, it's a show we put together about 2 weeks ago, and it's just a bunch of interesting vignettes. How's that for a that's a pretty cool word, of vignettes of people, conversations with people that are doing something in life that I met through Assumption College. So I should tell you that Assumption College doesn't sanction this. They don't sponsor it. In fact, they might not even know it exists. But we want you to help us show others that it does exist. And right down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is a little red button. Hit that button, and then you see a little bell pop up. Hit the bell, and that means you're subscribed so that every time a new segment comes out, you get it before the general public. And speaking of people that get it, our friend who's joining us this segment from the class of 77, hailing all the way from Clinton, or as they say, Clinton, Massachusetts, Paul Ruane. Paul, welcome to SALISBURY 500.
Well, welcome to you too, John. Good to see you.
Well, thank you. So, Paul, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're heavily involved in charity work right now, but give us your career path in just a minute to take us up to the current, the last 40 years in a minute.
That's easy.
Yeah.
I spent 34 years working for the State Department of Correction. I started as a recreation officer under the CETA, the Comprehensive Employment Training Act, in 1977. I became a correction officer. I became a correctional counselor. I became a senior counselor. I became a sergeant. I became a deputy superintendent. And then I became superintendent of several facilities in the state.
Okay.
34 years.
34 years. And you know what? Like that, it probably, although when you're probably going through it, it didn't seem like it was going through rapidly, but you made it through, and that's
no, it didn't.
That's the good part. So we've just done 34 years, and on Facebook, I would notice that right around Thanksgiving, you would send out pleas to your friends, to your Assumption friends, and to everybody else that you know, to help out with some Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners that you were doing for a food pantry. Tell us about that.
Well, it all started, John, when my youngest daughter was in the 8th grade at the CCD program. We used to collect every Thanksgiving and bring baskets, food baskets, down to St. Peter's Church in South Main Street in Worcester. Mm-hmm. So I brought my daughter, several of her fellow students, and their baskets, and brought them down to St. Peter's. And when we got there, people were totally amazed at the lack of food that these people were going to have for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. As the students walked through and saw the boxes, they saw a couple cans of tuna, a few pounds of pasta, maybe a couple cans of corn. And they said, Mr. Ruane, is this it? And I says, yeah, other than what we brought, this is pretty much it. And they're going to get a frozen turkey when they come to pick up this food. And they couldn't believe there was no mashed potatoes. There was no real corn, as they called it, real corn, not in a can.
Yeah.
And the other, things that you'd have at your Thanksgiving dinner that they were used to. So
you decided you were going to get all the fixins, right?
Exactly. And my whole thing was everything they were getting weekly was either canned or dehydrated or in a box. So I was determined to provide fresh fixings.
Fresh food.
To people.
Not fixings, Paul. Fixins. There's no G in it.
Sorry.
Well, you're from Clinton, so you're probably much more. Did I say it wrong? How do proper people say Clinton, Massachusetts?
Most people just say Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't pronounce it phonetically.
Okay. So you went on with that program for how many years did you do that?
Oh, wow. That started probably, it was about 6 years. I had 6 years left in the Department of Correction, and I started doing fundraisings at the prisons that I were at to raise money to buy food for the food pantry, to give out at Thanksgiving.
Now, we should say you asked your fellow employees. You weren't shaking down prisoners, right?
No, but they helped. They helped bag everything up once we purchased it.
Okay, so they were part of the program, and I know you had mentioned to me that you were actually cooking meals at some of the facilities, and you would bus in some of the elderly people, the senior citizens people from facilities and senior centers.
Yeah, so we did that. We did that up at Gardner. We had a culinary arts program, and we had a huge training building. So every quarter, we would hook up with the Gardner Senior Citizen Center, and we would bring up participants to come up for a meal, a tour. We had a needs program. We do a demonstration of the dogs, and pretty much it was to teach skills to the inmates that were getting ready to be released and how to interact when they get back out in society. So they were the waiters. They cleaned up. They did everything waiting on the senior citizens.
So you were really providing a service to the inmates because you were prepping them for life beyond the walls, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So
and providing a service for the community.
Okay. So where did this giving spirit? I know you commented that the Assumption people were, the people that helped you out quite a bit, your classmates and friends. But where did this spirit to give back come from?
I just think it all comes back from my upbringing. My parents always taught us to help one another, to, take care of other people. There's always somebody less fortunate than yourself. So when you started seeing the need, a real need in the community, and then to see these young kids, like my daughter's friends, have no concept whatsoever about, being hungry or having food. And it just really hit me. And I just said, this isn't right. We need to do something. So I started on that mission, so to speak, back then.
Okay. So another thing that we have to talk about your Assumption gang. I shouldn't say gang to a person who's been in the prison system, but you've got a group of pretty close people that get together quite frequently. And are you the group that goes down to somebody's house in Florida and makes yourself at home?
Absolutely.
We won't mention names or addresses, but
home, John, is any one of those friends you go to, that's home. We got a really tight-knit bunch, and our kids have all grown up together. We've gone on vacations, cruises, you name it. It's really amazing. And when I see people that from Assumption, they still can't believe that we're all still together. We still hang out together. Yeah,
because your class is a pretty cohesive group of people.
Yes, definitely.
So what would you say to other people that might be nearing retirement or still have work to do and are thinking of giving some of their time back?
It's something. Retirement is great, but you just can't hang out. You need to do something. So volunteering is huge. No matter where, it doesn't have to be at a food bank or a food pantry. There's so many places that need help. And it's even more evident today than it ever was.
What's the feeling that you get from it when you participate?
It's an overall good feeling. To see smiles on people's faces. They're hugging you, they're kissing you, and they're just thanking you over and over again for what you're doing for them. And it really is amazing.
How about the funniest story that you remember today from Assumption that you still bring up when your group gets together?
Oh my God.
That won't put you on the other side of the bars.
Well, I think the duck pond.
I think every class around that era kind of has the duck pond as the center of activity, right?
Oh my God. When you see a Volkswagen at the bottom of the duck pond when it's lights on, you just gotta shake your head and you just gotta laugh. And
of course, you have no idea how it got there.
It's to this day, it's still a mystery.
Still a mystery. Yeah. It might have come through the culvert on Salisbury Street, but
it could have.
Whatever.
And I tell you what, there was one sergeant, Warren Richards, that was probably, if it wasn't for him, half that school wouldn't have graduated.
Oh, is that right? Because he was lenient or because he was stern?
You know what, John? It was both.
Both.
And when he gave you a break, you realize you got a break. And I think that's why he was so well loved by everybody, because he treated you firm but fair. And that's huge. Right. So
Paul, the buzzer is just about ready to go off on this segment of Salisbury 500, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And folks, we want to remind you that if there is a person from your assumption years that you think would make a good segment here, just let us know right here in the way that you respond to this. And we'd like to tell you to stay tuned to this YouTube channel for more segments of Salisbury 500 coming up. My name is John DePietro. Have a great day, everybody.
See you, John.